Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TMV Live. My name is Sharzad, and I'm joined by some familiar faces. Kaylee, Colette, and Angel. Woo woo! The band's back together. We're not really live today, but that doesn't mean that you can't tweet with us and ask us any questions, comments, concerns, share your thoughts. You can always use the hashtag TMV Live and tweet at the Moms Do so we can connect with you guys because we love it. All right, update time. I know you just had a birthday party for your little one, but before we get to that one, I've been obsessing over this Tiffany's themed birthday party, and we're gonna show you guys that real quick because it's amazing. And there was these photos that I saw online of these little girls with little buns and pearls and little sunglasses, and I'm obsessed with themed parties, and one day I will throw so many and I will be like a themed party Nazi, and I'll be like, it's your birthday and I'm gonna throw you the best party ever.
That's what you gotta be like, yeah.
So tell me about your Taylor Swift themed party.
Well, that's funny because I'm not that way. I do not like, I'm not very artsy and crafty, and that kind of stuff stresses me out. So when she was like, I really want a Taylor Swift birthday cake, I'm going to the grocery store and I'm like, I do not even know how to do this. I don't know. Yeah. And there's nothing Taylor Swift out like for her new Red album because she released it a year ago and now she's just on tour, so there wasn't like all this, paraphernalia I could buy. So I was really stressing out. So I just sort of like went with the red theme and thought, okay, if I just do everything red, get a red velvet cake, decorate it with red candy, and I just sort of did that, and she loved it. Good. And my other daughter was like, can I have the exact same birthday? And I'm like, yes, I did. Yes.
Great. See, my sister's 5 years younger, so I was in charge of every single birthday party that she had. And I was like, Mom, I got this one. And
I was like,
I was like obsessed with throwing them. Does Reilly have demands about birthday?
You know what? She doesn't. And we've kept it pretty simple. But a couple years ago, we did a Candyland themed birthday party.
Oh, that is
It was really fun. Really fun. I had my little brother and his friend, because I ran out of time, draw the game on our driveway in Utah. And
with
so
like chalk?
Yeah, with chalk, and did the different squares, different colors, and they drew the cards, and they walked, and at every like little bonus card place they got a treat, and it was really fun. It was really fun. That's probably the biggest party that I've ever done.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Angel?
Oh.
I know you have something to say.
I love it. So this year we did Mickey Mouse dance party, and Mickey Mouse showed up. Yes, he did, and that was like it was a celebrity. The only problem was Mickey was playing inappropriate music. Literally, the song was "I Like the Way You Shake Your Ass." That's what Mickey Mouse came out to. The kids didn't care though. They were like, "Mickey!" We had a disco ball, we had a bouncy house, and then the year before that, we did a Cars 2 theme, and all the kids got their they got a driver's license when they came. I had taken their pictures offline and made their own personalized driver's license that they were able to put around their neck. There were like cones, caution cones, so they knew where to go. I love it. I love it.
Okay. Do you guys feel pressure to throw like perfect little birthday parties all the time?
Yep.
Like, is it? No. Especially when you hear about like, I don't know, celebrities throwing these fancy, extravagant birthday parties. Like, I've been to like 1 or 2 first birthdays. I'm like, oh, this probably cost you more than my wedding.
Oh. Now, I do it on a budget. Like, we're at the 99-cent store getting stuff. Yeah. But no, I do feel like I need to throw an epic party. Like, I need all the little 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds to be like, Marcus, that was a good party. Because he's ready now. Like, he knows it's his turn. All the kids are born around the same time, so he's waiting for everyone to show up to his, and Mommy's going to deliver every year. Every year.
Awesome though. My poor kids. They're like, Mom, what are we gonna do? I'm like, cake and invite Kaylee over.
She'll make something.
Yeah.
She'll make something.
I'm like, I don't know.
My kids have never really cared. Like I did a little Mickey Mouse party for Gage when he turned 2 or 3, I can't remember, and we had a piñata, and that was like the most wonderful thing ever. Your kids were there. I think you guys were out of town. But we've always kept it really simple, and I think the kids are just happy with the present.
Oh yeah, they are. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, they're happy with as long as there's cake
Yeah.
and their friends are there and a present. But for me, I'm like,
Right.
we are about to, because my mother never
Totally.
did it. My mother, we went to McDonald's. Like now, that's like a cesspool. You would never see kids there at that playground just to catch some sort of STD, slide down a slide. So no, I decided, I'm going to do it big for my child. I love it.
I agree, and it is a fun memory to have. Like, oh, I remember when I did this, like the Candyland one. I was like, oh, I did this Candyland party.
Yeah.
It's like you can brag about what you did.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So pressure. Okay, we're going to talk about another kind of pressure, totally unrelated from birthday parties. We're going to talk about religion, which is our topic of the day. And I know we all share lots of different views, maybe some are similar, I have no idea, but we're going to talk about it today. And specifically, what kind of a role do you think religion plays in how you are hoping to bring up your kids? And if that was something that, if you were raised with religion and that's how you want to incorporate it into your kids' childhoods. So, Angel, you want to start it off?
Well, that's my name, so that answers the question. Like, my name is Angel, not out of mistake. Religion is huge. My mom's a minister.
Oh, wow.
All three of my older sisters are ministers.
Okay.
So are their husbands.
Really?
Yes. So my aunts are ministers. I came from a family where we were in church, Jesus, 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 all day long. And I love me some Jesus too. So, no, it plays a huge, for me, I'm definitely raising my son in that. Like, he loves church. Like, we had to leave early one Sunday. He just boo-hooed. I think it's just for us, it grounds us a lot so that when other things start to, I guess, weigh on us, it's easy for me to, judge it and be like, is this really important? When it comes to the things that I have morally said are important to me, that are important to God, is me not getting a role really that important? Like, I have the blessings of my family. That's something that's supposed to be your first ministry, your relationship with your family. So for me, I feel like it grounds me and it helps me look at reality in a way that doesn't get me so stressed out like some people might. So yeah, I plan on, yes, he will be Jesus all day. Jesus, 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 Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. What, Colette?
That's always been a debate because it's hard, especially when you're raising your kids in the limelight. Everybody always wants to know, like, oh, religion is such a touchy topic. It's like, as soon as you talk about what you believe, people are, they all have their opinions and you're wrong. And so it's been very difficult. And a lot of people have asked us how I will raise my kids. And, I feel like I will raise them the same way that my parents raised me, which is, this is what we believe and we find it so important to us. That's why we're teaching it to you. And, whether we accept it or not is up to us. And whether we follow it or not is up to us. But because I was raised that way, I feel like they instilled in me the importance of that as well. Like, I do believe in God and Jesus Christ, and He's my Savior. And to me, having that hope and that part of me in my life has made me who I am today. So I will teach it to my kids, but I also don't feel like you can teach them in a way that is forceful. Like, I want to teach them with love and understanding, and what they decide in the future is truly up to them. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And you feel
Yeah.
like you turned out okay. So you're like, when you're like, I think I'm an okay person. So I don't understand why, you're like, I want to pass this on. And if they decide to do something different, I will break my heart. No, if they decide to do something differently, afterwards, at least you can say, I think I gave you the best of what I had.
Right. Yeah. Colette, what is this photo from? This is a special day for
Yes,
Princess?
this is from Princess Tard's baptism.
Okay.
She was baptized at 8 years old, and that's when we believe the age of accountability. So, before this day, we talked to her about baptism and what it means to be baptized, and there's so cute. And so it was a very special day for her.
With their pretty dress.
Okay, cool. So you're
thing.
up.
Yes,
All
same
right.
thing. That is Reilly's baptism.
Yeah.
And we did the same thing. I mean, I think everyone knows that I believe the same as Colette.
Yeah.
we were raised very similarly. And I feel like I would be lost without religion. And I know after moving out here, I've met a lot of people who believe different things. And I found comfort in that as well, that, everyone believes differently. But I found out for myself, and I hope my kids do too, that I honestly like 100% believe in what I believe in, and I think that that is so important, and I want that for my kids.
Yeah.
I want them to know for themselves that, you know, that they believe in. If it's not what I believe in, then it will be hard, but I want them to believe in whatever they believe in 100%.
Yeah. I was a religious mutt.
I was about to say, how were you raised?
I was talking to my mom about this earlier, and I was like, so what religion were you again, Mom? Like, how'd you grow up? So on my mom's side, her father's Jewish. He's from Brooklyn. He was a tough New York Jewish guy. And then he married my grandma, my mom's mom, who was Southern Baptist from North Carolina, just as sweet as a peach could be.
I'm loving these words.
And then together, you know, I can't remember when they got married, but that was obviously, you know, kind of a scandal for a Jew and a, you know, Southern peach to get married. So they decided to baptize my mom and raise her Catholic. So then she was just like kind of, you know, she
really
was kind of into religion, just really open. She also liked the idea of being Jewish and incorporating other traditions, mostly from her childhood. And then my daddy, who grew up in a Muslim country, was raised Muslim, but if you ask him, he's very anti-organized religion, and he would never say, I'm a Muslim. He also would say it with a Persian accent, so I am not Muslim. But anyways, so me and my brother and sister, we were raised to try and just be good people with open minds, knowing that there's so many different religions out there. And like, I grew up incorporating Hanukkah into, you know, our holiday traditions, as well as Christmas. Not really so many like Muslim holidays, but we certainly celebrate Persian New Year, which isn't actually a religious holiday at all. But we were always taught that this is like a cool cultural tradition, not so much having like a religious meaning behind it, which I know there's major religious meanings behind all of these holidays, except the Persian New Year one. But that's not how we grew up. And I hope to raise my kids that way. And Michael and I have talked about this before, and he was also the hubby. His father is Muslim. He is a strict Muslim, but his mom is American. So she grew up probably Christian. I'm just gonna assume that. Right. Yeah, she's blonde, blue-eyed from Michigan. So, but when Michael was younger, you know, he went to a private Catholic boys' school, but that's because that was the best school in the neighborhood. And he also went to Muslim school on the weekends. Okay. So he was probably religiously confused a little bit as well, although he saw how serious his father was with his Muslim religion. But then for our kids, we just kind of want them to be like us, just open and just sort of knowing that there are several religions out there, and if they ever wanted to choose to be one, they certainly could. But not really, but you know, we always want to, like, when we talk about it, we want to incorporate culture. And yeah, if they want to celebrate Hanukkah, we'll talk to them about Hanukkah and maybe, you know, open gifts for 8 days. You know, that sounds fun.
So here's a question for you. If your child, when you have your children, says, I want to go to church, would you take them? Like, would you find a church and take them to it?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I don't even know.
You can come to my church all day long, honey.
You know, that's funny. No one's ever asked me that, and I've honestly never ever thought about that. But I want to be open, so I think churches, you know, in general are beautiful places, and I think that singing is fun, and I feel like the church you go to is probably a blast with lots of singing.
It's probably a blast. It is.
And I like the idea of like people getting together and like celebrating life or whatever that you do in church. I've honestly been to church maybe twice in my life, so I don't really know the ins and outs of what goes on there. But I would be open to it just in terms of like a new learning experience, not so much like, oh, I want to go so that I can be a different religion. Right. You know? I don't like when people push. I'm open to always talking about religion, of course. Like I said, I'm such a mutt. So for me, it's like, it doesn't really matter to me. It's never been important to me personally, or my brother or sister, or my family. But, you know, I'm always open to learning, and I always respect other people's beliefs, but I don't like when people like push their beliefs on me or think that they're better because they believe something else. And I think sometimes with strict religious people, you kind of get that vibe, like, oh, well, we believe this. So,
well, you know, it's so different now. Obviously, when this country was formed, it was for the purpose of religious freedom.
Yeah.
And I know now with especially the rights for gay marriage and stuff like that, a lot of times people who are religious are automatically clumped into people who hate folk that don't believe the exact same thing that they do.
Right.
I've always been a Jesus-loving young lady and will always be.
Yeah.
But it is such a different climate now where it's almost like you have to not only be firm in your beliefs, but also try to prove that I'm okay with everybody. Where it's almost like I am who I am. I love everybody, but I also love the Lord. I love Jesus Christ, and I should not have to like tiptoe around you because of your assumption of what I am exuding. You know what I'm saying?
I get you. Mm-hmm.
So it's a very weird place to be, but what's been so lovely is because of me being in the arts, I have gotten to experience, unlike in Kentucky, I have gotten to experience people for all different lifestyles and different walks of life, and they're able to see, no, Angel is a Christian, but that has nothing to do with how she, actually, I do treat people good because I am a Christian because of those moral beliefs. So their opinion about Christianity, especially because I'm a conservative Christian, especially about as far as that concern, has kind of changed because they're, when you see these crazy people out picketing and like, that does paint a horrible picture.
Boils my blood.
It paints a horrible picture, but that's a small percentage of who's out there. It's the same thing if you look at black people in the media. If you see someone that's got rollers in their hair with a cigarette hanging out their mouth, talking about, I saw it, I did. But that's a small percentage that we get clumped in. I know we're about to go to social stuff, but I just thought I would put that in there, in the mix.
No, I could listen to you talk all day.
I know.
Keep on. This could be the Angel Show.
Oh,
We're
no,
here
let's
for you.
not. Let's show how it's done. We're here for you.
We have a tweet. Geneva, sometimes Jean, says, how do you encourage your kids to be religiously tolerant? This is a great question because I know you guys have such strong moral beliefs that I know you want to instill in your kids. So when they are meeting kids that aren't of the same religion, how do you guys talk to them about that? What's the conversation like?
I think that you show them by example, by how you treat other people and how you, talk about different religions, because where we were growing up, everyone around us was Mormon, and so we didn't really talk about other religions a lot. Moving out here, Reilly will say, I think I'm the only Mormon in my school. Like, well, that's really neat, and you can be an example of, of how you should act as a Mormon, but you should also, talk to other kids if they're talking to you about their religion. You should learn from the other kids and see how, they're acting, and I think it's really important that they learn about all religions.
It's interesting. I mean, it's fascinating to learn about other religions. Yeah.
And for Halloween, my son was Jesus this Halloween. The year before, he was Barack Obama. And so I was like, what's better than that? Jesus. And one of his classmates was like, who is that? And he said in front of his dad, and his dad was like, Angel, you want to take this one? And I was like, he's a guy that I believe in that I think is really magical. I was like, his name is Jesus. He was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. And so at their age, they don't, my son does his prayers every night. He loves doing that. But at their age, there's certain concepts they don't get. And I think if we just bring it to their level, it's not, tolerance doesn't even come into play because they're not at the point where they're trying to put judgment on stuff, So for me, him being 4 and his other classmates, they're accepting of everything, right? As long as it doesn't look scary, they're like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you,
And
Colette?
I think for my kids, the core of what we believe is that God is our Father and that He loves us and He loves all of His children the same. And so that's our goal, is to love all of His children the same. Like, how He judges them is not up to us to judge, or how He judges us. Like, we will be much better off just showing love to everyone, regardless of what they believe, how they act. That is our main goal, is to be loving to His children. And so that's how I try to teach them. Like, sometimes they'll be a little confused or they'll be nervous about certain people and what they believe, and we just talk to them about it, like, yeah, that's really interesting that they believe that. Or, like being gay and lesbian, like, oh, Mom, that's weird, I don't know about them. Like, well, that's how some people believe, and that's okay, and you don't judge them for how they act because that's not up to you. And, you know what I mean?
So they've come home and said like, oh, I think there's somebody of a different religion, and you guys have had those conversations?
Like if they get, well, like we believe like, you know, you say, you don't, we try not to use the Lord's name in vain. Like we don't say G-O-D a lot, you know, and some kids will say it all the time.
Right.
And that makes them nervous sometimes, but I'm like, that's okay, because that's how they live, you know. So some things in there, which is interesting because, you know, growing up in Idaho, you don't get it like it's mostly predominantly Mormon from where we live. Yeah. And so it's been really great to live in LA and have them be around so many different people and be able to be like, oh, that's okay. And you're cool and I'm cool and we like each other. And I like that. That they've been able to be more tolerant.
Going to help them function in society, absolutely. You know, whatever they do, just like, oh, there's this, that, and they're good people, and we have another tweet. Molly Rush says, do you think raising a child with religion makes them who they are, or just helps shape them as a person? I mean, I was raised without it. And look how I turned out.
I don't think that being raised with or without religion will make you a good person or a bad person, but I definitely think it shapes who you are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I mean,
however
like
you're
raised
with one mom is going to shape who you are. It's like it's any way that you're raised is going to definitely shape who you are, for sure.
Well, if you look at, to get philosophical, if you look at the meaning of the word religion, which is to tie back to, you're supposed to be, it's the purpose of it is to tie you back to God, to give you a link to Him. So I feel like that is what it truly does more than anything. It just gives you a tie to a higher power, whatever you consider that higher power to be, however you decide to get there. So the shaping that I think it does is just, it gives you something to hold on to. Like you said, hope. It makes, I feel like religion can make you, either it can make you a hopeful person or very desperate. But I feel like for me, it keeps me as a hopeful person. I can literally still smile in the face of adversity. When it looks like things are just falling apart around me, I still have a hope. So I guess in that sense, it shaped who I am, because I'm sure I could be a very negative person, but for the most part, I'm very optimistic, and I think religion had to do with that.
See, I believe in like a higher power. If somebody wants to refer to him as God or whatever, the universe, etc., I believe that there is something bigger, and I like to think that there's something bigger out there. It's sort of a comforting thought. I've just never felt the need to like characterize it as like, this is my God or whatever. But I do believe in like, I'm spiritual, I guess you could say, without being religious. Like I pray, but I think that's like just another comforting thing, to just pray for something that you want. It feels good to, you know, ask the world for something that you want, and it helps you, I think, visualize what it is you want from the world and from your life.
Well, that's a form of religion, because you're tying that's your way to get to your higher power.
See, with religion, it's like there's different things I believe. Like I do believe in reincarnation, which is more, I think of like I mean, I don't know what specific religions believe in reincarnation, but I really like that idea. And I like other ideas from different religions. And I want to like mush them all up into like my own set of beliefs. The Shahrazad religion. And like, see, it's like I take my beliefs from here and there that I think like just work well with me and how I was raised and what I want to believe in. And I never want to label them. Like, oh, all these different things I believe, like, because they wouldn't even be able to be labeled, you know, because they're just random. Random. Like, one day I'm going to be a bird. Come back as a birdie. Okay, I have a question for you guys. Please. What if your little ones wanted to marry somebody of a different religion? How would you guys deal with that? Would you be okay with that? Did it just get hot in here? Angel has something to say.
You know, if they got past me for him to get to the point of proposing, then obviously they must be a good person, because it's going to be hard for any chick to come up in my family, to be honest. Not just who's or not just of my, but in general. I mean, my standards are very high for my son, and I will be that mother. And I do not apologize for it. You know, the dads that say they'll put the gun out for their daughters. I will be the mom with the gun on the table with the little girl shaking in her boots. You know what?
Please videotape that.
Yeah. Look here, little like no. But by that time, you know, I doubt if my son gets married at a very young age. By that time, he's a grown man. You know, he's hopefully paying his own bills and paying mine too. So he has the right to choose that. I feel like there are certain people that can make that work, and there are certain people who cannot make that work. Religion is such a huge part of my life. It would be too much of a struggle in my household if I married someone who wasn't. That was like, no, I want to do, no, this is what we're going to do. So depending on what type of person he becomes, you know, I'm going to have to just shut that. Oh, I won't shut up. I'll be talking the whole entire time, but I'll be up at that wedding that I planned. That thing, I'm planning that wedding is what I do know.
Oh, I love it.
Thoughts?
You know, I've always thought that it just makes your life easier if you have the same beliefs. And for me, my faith was such a huge part of my life, and that's what I wanted. Like, I really wanted to marry somebody that believed the same, because I knew that my life would be completely different if they didn't. And so for me, that was important. But I know that, you know, if they get to that point and they still don't know, you know, what they believe, and they find somebody that they're in love with, like, who am I to say, like, you can't do that? You know, my hope is that they would believe what I believe, because I do strongly believe it. But if not, you know, I'm going to have to, like, that's our greatest gift, is agency, the power to choose. So I'm going to have to be able to, okay, I love you, and I will be at that wedding, and I will. I'm not going to plan it. I'll let you do that.
Okay. So it'll be a little bit of a battle if that day ever comes.
It will be a struggle for me internally, but I will probably, you know, let them make their own decision. So
I believe in that too. Letting them make their own decision. Whoever my child loves, I will love too.
That's
sweet. Oh, you're
no
so
matter
sweet. Whoever, I can't promise that.
I will, and I do hope that, like Colette, that, you know, and you, that they will stay with the same religion, because it is important.
Okay, now what about, like, how do you feel like religion plays a role in how you parent? Like, in terms of what they can wear, or, you know, anything? Like, are there any examples of, like, how you feel like your religion plays a specific role in the way you are as a mom?
Definitely. We're taught that you should dress modest, that you should wear, you know, longer shorts. You shouldn't wear tank tops. And I do let Reilly wear shorts and tank tops right now.
Okay.
But I feel like, she's young. But when she gets older, I will try to teach her about modesty. And I try to lead by example. I try not to wear anything that I wouldn't want her to wear.
Okay, that makes sense. And my dad gave me those rules too, but it was just because
I know, right? I mean, they help us out.
Like, none of that skin.
In his country, they cover everything. So in America, he's like, what? Shorts? What's going on here? Sorry, Baba June, if you're watching this, but I used to take an extra set of clothes. And all my friends knew if they were going to get ready at my house or whatever, they'd have to bring over like a long sleeve shirt or sweatshirt or something. And we would all say bye to my dad wearing these like little, you know, sort of, not like proper, but like covered outfits. And we would have a backpack, and we would throw them like around the side part of the house, and we would change into these like skankosaurus.
Looking like y'all on a whole stroll.
Like, like the shortest shorts ever. And I was always like pretty tall, and I was like, oh, well, there goes the town slut again. No,
legs.
That's hilarious.
And so much makeup. But okay, so Colette, back to you.
Well, I think that, I mean, my faith does play a huge role in how I parent. I mean, because that's like everything. I mean, we pray in the morning together. We pray at night before we go to bed. We read our scriptures together. You know, we try to have family dinners together and family nights. And for me, I mean, because I was raised that way, and it brought so much comfort and like security, and especially through those teenage years where you kind of roll your eyes like, oh, we have to do this again together. But now I look back and I'm like, that like stabilized me and centered me. And I feel like if I didn't have the direction I had from you know, the things that I was taught in my faith and the advice I had from my parents, that I would not be where I am today. I would probably not be married to who I am today. You know what I mean? Like it would be a totally different life. And so for me, I'm just so grateful for that. I just, it's a huge role. I mean, like I teach my kids about God, and we pray and
go to church every
Sunday. Go to church every
You
Sunday.
guys go every Sunday.
We do. We try to. And it's hard sometimes too, because Babytard she had a best friend that had a birthday party right smack dab in the middle of our church time, and I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do?
I have a really dumb question. How long is church for you guys? Like how many hours?
3 hours.
That's
For
not a
us,
dumb
3.
question.
Okay, it's not
That's not
good.
a dumb question.
sure
I didn't know
it's
if that was
different.
like everybody
Vary.
knows church is 3
No,
hours.
I mean, it's totally
because
different.
some black churches, girl, you better bring a snack. You better bring
really?
something because your blood sugar level is going to drop by the time we get out. The church I go to now is about 3 hours long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about 3 hours long. And entertaining 3
Yeah.
hours, I tell you.
Singing.
Yeah, singing,
Okay.
dancing, everything.
See, I would go to church with you.
I'm telling you something. Most people, you know what? It's so funny. Most people who have not grown up in any type of religious setting that I've brought to church, they're like, okay, I can get it. I can dig it.
Singing and dancing, sign me up any day.
Oh yes, it's a good time. It is a good time. And we pray, we go to church.
Yeah.
We tell him he's not supposed to cuss, even though we do. And I remember growing up in my mom, because we switched denominations in the middle of my growing up. So we grew up Baptist, and then we kind of switched to like this very charismatic Pentecostal type setting. So everything got longer. So like my shorts got longer. It was very weird for me.
Yeah. Is that hard?
Yes, I was like, I'm in high school. Why?
Okay.
It really, everything switched up. And I understand now. I don't lead by example now. Thank God I don't have a daughter because I am always half naked. But yeah, but I understand now why my mother did that, and I'm glad she did, because when I see little girls now, especially with their bodies developing a little faster than what they probably should.
Too much chicken with hormones.
Yeah, that's exactly. I saw a little 12-year-old girl hiking who had more body than me, honey.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, bless her heart. So now I realize, I'm like, you know what? That was good. My mother, put a little, knot in that to keep me from being half naked at school, because I probably would have been.
Well, that's the thing that I love about religion, is that I feel like it is there to help us,
Yeah.
to give us guidelines, to keep us where we need to be. That's what I think of when I think of religion.
Yeah.
It just helps us through life.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting. People always ask me, like, don't you feel so restricted? And I'm like, are you kidding me? It is freedom to me.
Okay.
It is.
It truly is.
Mm-hmm.
What about when your kids want to see like movies that their like friends are allowed to see, but they're not necessarily allowed to see because it sort of goes against your religious moral code? How do you deal with that?
Let me answer this one real quick. I got a story from when I was 16 years old. Me and my girlfriends went to see Waiting to Exhale.
Okay.
My mother gave me permission to see it.
Yeah.
Again, we were transitioning over into this stricter Pentecostal sector,
Yeah.
so she hadn't really learned all the rules of our church.
Yeah.
Well, they all got in trouble, which then made my mother, who was a minister, get in trouble because they were like, you're not supposed to be letting your daughter see all that stuff. So I went from being able to see rated R movies back down to PG-13 movies. And it frustrated me so much, because I understand you have to, in our faith, we are told to be mindful of what we allow into our minds, because so a man thinks, so shall he be. But also at the time, I had been raised so, like, I knew the word of God. I still know it. So I know what's right and what's wrong of what I'm seeing. I'm not thinking, I should do that.
Right.
I should sleep with a guy right after I meet him at a bar. I know I'm not going to do that. Right. So right now at his age, because he's young and we all have really young kids, there are certain things he's just not going to be allowed to watch regardless. But I do think I will be mindful. I'm mindful of music that he listens to, and I will be mindful of what images that I allow him to see, movie-wise, television-wise, or what have you, until he's able to really understand this is right and we think this is wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to try to monitor
Yeah.
what my kids watch, but I wasn't allowed to watch rated R movies, and I always snuck and watched them anyways. So, I'll try.
Yeah.
I think for me, I will try to lead by example, because I wasn't allowed either. And I remember in high school, I was invited to go out with this kid, and I was like, oh, this is exciting. It's from a different school, I'm going to go out. And we went with another couple, and they really wanted to see this movie that was rated R. And in my mind, I was like, I really don't want to. I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't do that. But I didn't want to be the party pooper. So I went, and I remember hating it. Like, just the feeling I had. I was like,
What was it? Do you remember?
it was urban legend. It was like a horror axe killing type movie.
Those kind of movies anyway.
And I was just like, this is why I don't watch these. And, and that's what I'll teach my kids. It's like, there are certain things that, maybe it would be fun to go to see this movie, but once you have an image or a thing in your mind, you can't erase it.
Yeah.
It's there.
I am still so mad that I saw the movie Hostel. you guys ever
I have
seen
not
haven't
seen
seen
it, and I
but
will
I'm-
not.
She's like, don't do it to
I
yourself.
still have nightmares.
Oh,
Different subject.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's terrible. It's the worst scary movie ever.
I do.
don't
I feel
even
like it's like
scary
because
movies.
you get a different feeling for sure. Ugh.
I know. And then those
So
images get stuck. We are going to chat with you guys a little bit tomorrow. So we've got lots of Twitter questions.
Oh.
Alyssa Landorf says, what are you most proud of about your children? Well, that's, I'm sure, a difficult question because you love everything.
Right. You do. You love everything about your children. I am really proud of my kids because I feel like they're thoughtful of others, and I've seen both of them do it multiple times, thinking of others before themselves, or helping others, or going out of their way to do something for someone else.
Yes,
It makes me proud.
I can see that.
oh my, what do you say? I'm like, I love my kids. They're amazing.
They wake up. I'm proud of that. They wake up in the morning. They go to bed.
I mean, I'm proud of, them just being able to be who they are, like be independent and be proud of themselves. Like when they do something that maybe was hard for them and they try something new, like Suntard he's on the swim team. He just tried out for the swim team.
Oh, good.
And he's super excited and he has a lot of work to do, but he did it and he's been super excited and confident.
That's
And like, I just get proud of those things like, oh, he's like being his own person,
Yeah.
you know? This is what he wants to do. So
That's awesome.
their independence, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's cool. That's great. I hope he makes it.
My little baby, every time I go to his school and there's a new child that just started at the school, the parent will track me down and be like, are you the mom of Marcus? And I'm like, yes. Your son has been so nice to my child, and my son my child has been talking about him every time they come home. So he's like the meet and greet of his class. Like, so any new child that comes in, and he's been doing this since he was like 2, they'll be like, are you Marcus's mom? And I'm thinking, well, who did he do? Who did he do something? And it's always, my child just keeps talking about him. We've got to do a play date. And it just warms my heart to know that he's that outgoing and that he takes to these little, like, where did he get that from?
I was gonna ask you. That's weird. I just don't see that.
I don't even think I'm as friendly as he is, but every time I'm like, let's go get ice cream. You little sweet little baby, you're so sweet. Yeah, makes me proud.
Cute. We have another Twitter question. This one's from Nicole. How do you instill confidence in your children without creating cockiness? So much love. Thanks, boo.
I just let my child be cocky. I'm like, that's okay. They just hate us if they talking about you, boo. Big cocky. Yeah, I worry about cockiness later. I just don't want him to have a low self-esteem. So I'd rather him be overly confident than to feel less than, and we'll fix that later. We'll get you back to where you're supposed to be, but I'd rather him think that he is Mr. Wonderful, because you see, I get so sad when I see these little kids that, especially like when they're bullied in school, and then they feel so bad about themselves. I mean, because I feel like bullying has been around since the beginning of time. This is nothing new.
Right.
But I feel like the support and love that you get from a family should help you overcome adversity, especially when you're in school. So I want my son to know that his mommy thinks that there is nothing better on earth than him, so that if somebody decides they want to pick with him, he's going to be like, well, you know what? My mama's going to come and whoop yo.
I have a feeling your son is just going to be confident. He's going to do just fine.
I pray so. I really do. I pray so.
Yeah.
I do.
That is difficult.
I think some kids are born with confidence. Reilly is so confident, and I'm so proud of that. I feel like Gage is too, but Reilly is very confident.
Yeah.
And from a young age, I remember people used to say, Reilly, you're so cute. And she'd be like, I know.
Oh,
and I was like,
the best.
it's so cute. But then I was like, you also need to make sure to say thank you, because you are so cute.
Yeah.
But you need to say thank you because,
Yeah. It's
that's
polite.
nice.
She's
So,
like,
so I guess I just kind of like tried to stick with that. Like, you are really great at this and you're so smart, but you need to be grateful that you're smart.
Right.
You know, be grateful for the great things that you have.
There's a fine line between like cockiness and confidence.
There is,
Yeah.
And it's hard to find. I think if you're just trying to instill in them like humility and the dangers of being prideful and just being grateful, then like they're going to be able to find that balance for themselves.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if they ever get confident to a point where they're being rude to other people or like judging other people based on their the high and mightiness or whatever, then you got a problem. But I think just, I mean, at this age, it's like, yes, you need to be confident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really.
Don't be mean.
Yeah.
Right.
But then when they're like, I do this better than that person,
Right.
and
Right.
you're like,
Yeah.
Let's bring
Hold
you back
on.
down.
Well, you know what they say, pride comes before the fall, so they'll fall eventually.
Yeah. Right.
And you'll just be like, oh, you should have
had
thought
that
before you said
coming.
that. Yeah, you had that coming. Yeah.
I think I was a little overconfident, not with like, oh, I'm so great, but just like in the skills that I had. Like I thought that I could jump off the roof of the house, and I did it and broke my foot. Like I thought that I could,
there was your
you know,
learning.
Is that
whiz
what we call
down-
confidence?
Maybe not confidence. Maybe a little overconfident that I could fly or something. And I was like, oh no, nah,
I got
it's
this.
broken. Yeah. And just like even just a couple years ago, like 10 years ago, I was riding a dirt bike, and I'm like, oh, I got this. I've never ridden a dirt bike before, and I was like riding it really fast, and I flipped it, and I have a massive scar on my leg because I thought I was better than I was, and I was like, within 10 minutes, flipped that puppy over, and like. And it landed on me. And these are like big, like sand dune dirt bike things. And I was like, okay, bringing it back. Not that good.
Those are great. I feel like those are great lessons. When you don't underestimate yourself, or if you underestimate yourself, I feel like you don't learn what your capabilities
Right,
are.
exactly.
You know, you then get to gauge, okay, I went too far. I'm going to come back.
not
Or,
that good at-
oh,
yeah.
I didn't realize I really am the thing when it comes to whatever this is. So I feel like sometimes overconfidence can be a help because there's stuff that you would probably not do if you were not confident or didn't have some sort of self-esteem about you. So it is, like you said, it's a fine little line. But
Like if you can reach for the stars without trying to step on people on your way.
exactly, that's the big
true.
thing. That's really what it is.
Point.
That's a good quote. You need to trademark that, or I
It's
won't
mine.
take it.
Y'all heard it.
Team, that's it.
Oh,
Short and
really?
sweet. Yeah. I know we can all go fan ourselves off
Yes,
after
I
this.
know.
It's toasty.
Who was that came in and interrupted our show?
know.
And we had to try to
Nachos.
play it off.
I hope you
Said
guys noticed
nachos.
that. Yeah.
His mama didn't raise him in the church is what happened. No. You don't know that Jesus. No.
Well, team, we will be back next Thursday at 2. Thank you for your Twitter questions. Thank you for everything. We love your guys' guts. And leave us lots of comments, and we'll see you next time. Okay. Whew, gotta go.
See you later.
Bye.
I think I'm more like, I don't want to film this. This is a moment that we shouldn't film. And my kids are like, I want to be on camera. Let's do it. But I'm more reserved with certain things. Before we started doing YouTube, I didn't even have Facebook because I didn't want to put my kids on the internet.
Right. Yeah.
I was really, really private about that. And then, you know, I knew that you guys were safe and everything was going good. So I was like, okay, well, we'll try it.